Hey, so tonight we're going to talk about what it was like to be born into the lowest rung of medieval French society. Not the romanticized version you see in movies, but what it would actually feel like to live through the harsh realities of peasant life in 13th century France. If you're enjoying these stories, I'd love a like or subscribe. And let me know where you're listening from in the comments. Find your cozy spot, take a slow breath, and let's drift back to a time when your entire world was measured in the distance you could walk in a single day. The first sensation you know is cold, not the gentle chill of autumn morning, but the bone, deep cold that seeps through the gaps in rough, hewn timber walls. Your mother's arms wrap around you, her hands calloused from years of grinding grain and spinning wool, yet impossibly gentle as she pulls you close to her chest. You open your eyes to a world of shadows and flickering amber light, the single room that will contain your entire childhood stretches before you. Earthen floor packed hard by countless footsteps, walls of wattle and daub that breathe with the wind. Smoke from the central hearth curls upward, seeking escape through the hole in the thatched roof above. The air carries the mingled scents of your new world: wood smoke, damp earth, the musty sweetness of dried herbs hanging from the rafters. Bundles of lavender and rosemary dangle like forgotten prayers, their fragrance mixing with the sharper smell of the goats that share your shelter during the coldest months. Your nostrils flare, taking in these first breaths of a life that will be measured not in years of plenty, but in seasons survived. Your father's voice rumbles like distant thunder as he speaks with the village priest who has come to record your birth. Father Bernard's robes rustle as he dips his quill in a small pot of ink, the scratching sound sharp against the soft murmur of conversation. You are property now, bound to this land before you can even lift your head. The scratching of quill on parchment seals your fate. You belong to Lord Guillaume's manor, as your parents do, as their parents did before them. The priest's Latin words wash over you like water over stones, incomprehensible but somehow weighty with meaning. Baptizata est. He intones, and cool water touches your forehead, making you cry out in shock. Your mother's voice soothes you with a lullaby passed down through generations of women who understood that comfort must be created from nothing, spun from air and hope and the warmth of human touch. In these first weeks, your world is bounded by the reach of your mother's arms. She carries you as she goes about her daily tasks, your small body pressed against her chest as she tends the cooking fire, feeds the chickens, mends your father's work clothes with careful stitches. You learn the rhythm of her breathing, the steady beat of her heart, the way her voice changes when she speaks to the animals versus when she murmurs prayers. The cottage that shelters you is barely larger than a modern bedroom, but it contains entire universes. In one corner, your parents' straw mattress lies on a wooden frame raised slightly off the earthen floor. In another, clay pots hold the family's meagre stores: barley, dried peas, a precious handful of salt wrapped in cloth. Iron tools hang from wooden pegs driven into the walls: your father's hoe, your mother's spindle, a knife worn smooth by generations of hands. The hearth dominates the center of the room, its stones blackened by years of fires. Here, your mother cooks the family's simple meals in an iron pot suspended over the flames. The fire never truly dies, two banking the coals each night and coaxing them back to life each morning is one of the most crucial skills of survival. Without fire, there is no warmth, no cooked food, no light to push back the darkness that seems to press against the walls like a living thing. Your first winter passes in a haze of cold and hunger. The stores laid up in autumn dwindle with frightening speed, and your mother's milk grows thin as her own body struggles to find nourishment. Your father ventures out each day despite the bitter wind, checking snares for rabbits, gathering fallen branches for fuel, doing whatever work the manor steward can find for willing hands. His boots, stuffed with straw for warmth, leave tracks in the snow that fill and disappear like temporary prayers. On the coldest nights, the family huddles together for warmth, your parents' bodies creating a cocoon of heat around you. You can hear the wind howling through the thatch above. Feel the way the walls seem to flex and breathe with each gust. Sometimes ice forms on the inside of the walls, delicate crystals that catch the firelight like tiny stars. Your mother traces these patterns with her finger, whispering stories of winter spirits and the promise of spring's return. The seasons turn and you grow into awareness of your world's rhythms. Spring brings the sweet scent of apple blossoms from the Lord's orchard, mixed with the earthy smell of freshly turned soil. Your bare feet learn the texture of cool morning dew on grass, the sharp bite of frost on winter mornings, the warm dust of summer paths between your toes. By your 3rd year, you toddle behind your mother as she goes about her endless tasks. Your small legs work hard to keep pace as she walks to the well each morning, the wooden bucket heavy in her arms. The well sits at the centre of the village, its stone rim worn smooth by countless hands and rope. Here, the women gather to draw water and share news, their voices creating a gentle murmur that mingles with the creak of the windlass and the splash of buckets hitting water far below. You learn to recognise the different sounds that mark your days. The lowing of cattle as they're driven to pasture, the rhythmic thunk of your father's axe-splitting wood, the whisper of wind through the grain fields. Each sound carries meaning. The cattle's call means fresh milk if you're lucky. The axe means warmth for another day. The wind in the grain means harvest is coming, and with it, perhaps, enough food to last the winter. Your mother teaches you the names of things in the careful way of someone who understands that knowledge is survival. This is barley, she says, letting you run the grain through your small fingers. This is what keeps us alive when the wheat fails. She shows you how to tell good grain from bad, how to spot the black ergot that can poison a family, how to judge if stored grain has gone mouldy and must be thrown away despite the waste. The village priest, Father Bernard, visits your cottage regularly to check on the spiritual welfare of his flock. His presence fills the small space with the scent of incense that clings to his robes and the rustle of parchment as he reads from his prayer book. You don't understand the Latin words, but you sense their power in the way your parents bow their heads, in the reverent silence that follows his benedictions. He speaks of sin and salvation, of the importance of accepting God's will, of finding joy in suffering, because it brings you closer to Christ. By your 5th year, your small hands are already learning the weight of responsibility. You follow your mother to the communal oven, carrying a wooden bowl of dough that will become your family's daily bread. The baker's wife, Margaret, shows you how to mark your loaf with a cross, so you'll know which one is yours when they emerge from the great stone oven. Her hands, white with flour, guide yours as you press the sacred symbol into the dough. The oven itself is a marvel of village cooperation, built with stones gathered from the fields and mortar mixed from clay and straw. It takes the combined effort of several families to heat it properly, feeding bundle after bundle of wood into its maw until the stones glow white hot. Then the coals are raked out, the floor swept clean, and the bread goes in to bake in the residual heat. The smell that emerges is nothing short of miraculous, the rich, yeasty aroma of fresh bread that makes your stomach clench with hunger and anticipation. You learn that bread is more than food. It's a measure of status, a marker of seasons, a connection to the divine. The Lord's bread is made from fine white flour, soft and sweet. The village priest gets bread made from wheat mixed with a little rye. Your family's bread is dark and dense, made from barley and oats with whatever other grains can be spared. In the hardest times, it might contain ground acorns or even sawdust to stretch the precious grain further. The church bells mark the hours of your days, prime at sunrise, terce at mid-morning, sext at noon. Their bronze voices carry across the fields where your father bends his back to the plough, following the same furrows his father carved before him. You learn to read the sky like scripture, the way clouds gather before rain, how the wind shifts before a storm, the particular quality of light that means snow is coming. Your education comes not from books, for books are as rare and precious as gold, but from watching, listening, remembering. Your mother teaches you to spin wool by the firelight, your fingers learning to feel the twist of the thread, the tension that means the difference between strong cloth and weak. The rhythm of the spinning wheel becomes a lullaby, its gentle wear mixing with your mother's hummed melodies passed down from her own mother and grandmother before her. The wool itself tells stories. You learn to judge its quality by touch, the soft fleece from young lambs that will make cloth fine enough for the Lord's family, the coarser wool from older sheep that becomes the rough fabric of peasant clothing. Your mother shows you how to card the wool, combing it with brushes set with metal teeth until the fibers lie parallel and smooth. The motion is hypnotic, soothing, and you often fall asleep to the sound of the cards brushing against each other. Winter nights are longest when the family gathers around the hearth and your grandfather tells stories. His voice, weathered by decades of harsh seasons, speaks of saints and miracles of the time before the Great Famine, when the harvest was so abundant that even peasants ate meat more than once a week. He tells of the old days when the forest was deeper and darker, full of wolves and wild boar, when fairy folk still danced in the moonlight and wise women could cure any illness with the right combination of herbs and prayers. Your grandfather's hands, gnarled like old tree roots, gesture as he speaks, casting dancing shadows on the walls. He tells you about your great-grandmother, who could predict the weather by the way her bones ached, who knew which plants would heal and which would harm. He speaks of the year the river froze so solid that carts could cross on the ice, and the year it flooded so badly that fish swam through the village streets. These stories become part of you, woven into your understanding of the world like threads in a tapestry. The Manor Lord's presence looms over your life like a shadow. Lord Guillaume de Montclair rules over your village and a dozen others from his stone castle on the hill, its towers visible from your cottage door on clear days. You see him perhaps 3 times a year at harvest time when he comes to claim his portion, at Easter when he distributes blessed bread, at Christmas when tradition demands he show charity to his serfs. His horse's hooves thunder past your cottage, and you press yourself against the doorframe, watching the flash of fine cloth and polished leather. The Lord's retinue is a spectacle that transforms your quiet village into something from a dream. Knights in mail that catches the sunlight like fish scales, ladies in silk gowns that rustle like autumn leaves, servants carrying banners that snap and flutter in the wind. Their horses are magnificent beasts, bred for war and ceremony, their coats gleaming with health and good feeding. You've never seen animals so beautiful, so powerful, so utterly beyond your reach. When the Lord comes to collect his due, your father joins the line of peasants waiting outside the manor house. Each family brings their portion: grain, eggs, cheese, whatever the harvest has yielded. Your father's shoulders are bent, not just with the weight of the sacks he carries, but with the knowledge that this grain might have meant the difference between hunger and plenty in the months to come. Yet there is no choice, no negotiation. The Lord's right to his share is as fixed as the movement of the stars. Your hands grow strong from kneading bread, from pulling weeds in the vegetable garden, from helping your mother card wool. The caluses form slowly, each one a small victory against the harshness of your world. You learn that survival is measured in small triumphs: a successful harvest, a winter without sickness, a roof that doesn't leak when the rains come. Your palms develop thick pads where the hoe handle rubs. Your fingertips grow tough from spinning wool. and picking thorns from berry bushes. The garden behind your cottage is your mother's domain, a small patch of earth that she tends with the devotion of a priest caring for his altar. Here grow the vegetables that supplement your diet of bread and porridge, onions, leeks, cabbages, turnips. In good years, there might be peas and beans, their vines climbing stakes made from hazel branches. Your mother saves seeds from the best plants, storing them carefully through the winter, planning next year's garden while snow covers this year's stubble. You learn the names and properties of herbs, both common and rare. Chamomile for soothing upset stomachs, willow bark for fever, comfrey for healing wounds. Your mother teaches you to recognize these plants in the wild, to know when to harvest them for maximum potency, how to dry and store them properly. This knowledge is precious, passed down through generations of women who understood that a healer's skill could mean the difference between life and death, when no physician would come to treat a peasant's ailments. The forest beyond the fields calls to you with its mystery and danger. You're forbidden to hunt there. The deer belong to the Lord, and poaching means death. But you gather mushrooms and berries, learning which ones nourish and which ones kill. Knowledge passed down through generations of women who understood that nature could be both provider and destroyer. The forest floor is soft beneath your feet, carpeted with fallen leaves that rustle and whisper secrets in languages older than Latin. In the deep wood, shafts of sunlight filter through the canopy like cathedral light, illuminating patches of moss so green it seems to glow. You learn to move quietly, to watch for the signs that tell you where to find what you seek. Mushrooms grow in the shadow of fallen logs. Berries ripen in clearings where the light can reach them. Medicinal plants flourish near streams where the soil stays moist. Your mother teaches you to take only what you need, to leave enough for the plants to regenerate, to always give thanks for what the forest provides. The changing seasons mark the rhythm of your life with ceremonies both sacred and practical. Spring brings the blessing of the fields when Father Bernard walks the boundaries of the village lands, sprinkling holy water and chanting prayers for a good harvest. You follow in the procession with the other children, carrying wildflowers to lay on the altar, your voice joining the chorus of hymns that rise like smoke toward heaven. Summer means long days in the fields, helping with the endless tasks that farming requires. You learn to weed between the rows of grain, your small fingers able to reach places that adult hands cannot. The sun beats down mercilessly and your skin darkens despite your mother's efforts to keep you covered. Sweat stings your eyes and makes your rough clothing cling uncomfortably to your body. But you work without complaint because you understand that every weed pulled means more grain for your family's survival. Harvest time brings both celebration and anxiety. The entire village works together to bring in the grain before the weather turns. You help gather the cut stalks into sheaves, your arms scratched by the stubble, but your heart light with the promise of bread for another year. The harvest feast that follows is one of the few times when the village comes together in true joy, sharing whatever plenty the year has brought, dancing to the music of pipe and drum until the stars wheel overhead. But even in celebration, there is the knowledge that winter is coming. The grain must be threshed and winnowed, the chaff separated from the precious kernels that will sustain life through the dark months. You help with this work, learning the rhythm of the flail, the technique of tossing grain in a basket so the wind carries away the lighter chaff while the heavier grain falls back down. Your arms ache from the repetitive motion, but you persist because you understand that this work is literally a matter of life and death. As you grow into your 10th year, your body begins to change in ways that mark your transition from child to young woman. Your mother watches these changes with a mixture of pride and sorrow, knowing that each sign of maturity brings you closer to the responsibilities and dangers that await adult women in your world. She begins to teach you the more complex skills you'll need, not just spinning, but weaving, not just cooking, but preserving food for the lean months, not just tending the sick, but understanding the delicate balance between life and death that hangs over every peasant household. The loom in your cottage is a simple frame loom, but in your mother's hands it becomes an instrument of creation. She shows you how to string the warp threads, how to maintain the proper tension, how to pass the shuttle back and forth to create the weft that will bind everything together. The cloth that emerges is rough and undyed, but it represents hours of patient work and will clothe your family for years to come. Your first attempts are clumsy, full of loose threads and uneven tension, but your mother's patient corrections gradually improve your technique. You learn that cloth is wealth in a world where money is scarce. A good piece of wool cloth can be traded for grain in a bad year, or saved as part of a dowry when marriage time comes. Your mother has a chest where she keeps the family's best pieces, a length of linen woven from flax grown in the Lord's fields, a woolen cloak dyed with precious madder root to achieve a deep red colour. These treasures are brought out only for the most important occasions, weddings, funerals, the great feast days of the church calendar. The art of dyeing is one of the most closely guarded secrets in your community. Your mother knows which plants yield which colours, how to mordant the cloth so the dye will hold, how to achieve the subtle variations in shade that mark the difference between common and fine work. Wode for blue, madder for red, weld for yellow, these plants are as precious as gold to those who know how to use them. You watch as she tends the dye pots, stirring the cloth with a wooden paddle, testing the colour against a piece of white linen until she achieves exactly the shade she wants. Your education in the ways of women extends beyond practical skills to the more mysterious arts of healing and midwifery. When Goodwife Anne goes into labour with her 7th child, your mother takes you along to assist. The birthing chamber is dim and close, filled with the scent of herbs burned to ward off evil spirits, and the low murmur of women's voices offering comfort and encouragement. You learn that birth is both miracle and terror, that life and death walk hand in hand through every delivery. Your hands learn the feel of a fevered brow, the way to support a labouring woman's back, how to prepare the herbal teas that ease pain and promote healing. You watch your mother's face as she examines the newborn, seeing the relief when the child draws its first breath, the sorrow when sometimes that breath doesn't come. These experiences teach you that women's knowledge is different from men's. Deeper, more intuitive, concerned with the mysteries of life itself rather than the surface concerns of field and forge. As you grow into womanhood, you feel the weight of expectation settling on your shoulders like a heavy cloak. Marriage will be arranged, not chosen. Your husband will be selected from among the village boys, someone whose family can offer a pig or a few chickens as dowry, someone whose land adjoins your father's strips in the common fields. Love, if it comes at all, will grow slowly like seedlings pushing through hard earth. The young men of the village begin to notice you, their glances following you as you walk to the well or work in the fields. Thomas, the miller's son, has kind eyes and strong hands, but his family's mill belongs to the Lord and could be taken away at any time. Jane, the blacksmith's apprentice, can make beautiful things from iron, but he has no land of his own and would have to work for wages his entire life. Pierre, whose father owns 3 strips in the best field, is considered a good match, but his breath smells of oil and his hands are quick to anger. Your mother begins the delicate negotiations that will determine your future. She meets with other mothers at the well, at church, at the market, on feast days. Conversations that seem casual to outsiders are actually careful evaluations of potential matches. Which families are healthy? Which boys are hard workers? Which households have the best prospects for surviving the inevitable hardships that life will bring? Your opinion is considered, but it is not the deciding factor. Marriage is too important to be left to the whims of young hearts. The plague years arrive when you are 16, bringing with them a terror that no amount of prayer seems to touch. The disease comes from the east, carried by merchants and pilgrims, spreading from town to village like fire through dry grass. At first, it seems distant, rumours of cities where half the population has died, of monasteries left empty, of fields lying fallow, because there are no hands left to work them. Then it reaches your village, and the world you've known begins to crumble. The first victim is old Henry the carpenter, who falls ill after returning from the market town. Within days, the black swellings appear under his arms and in his groin, and his fever burns so hot that his wife can barely touch him. He dies screaming, and his body is buried quickly in unconsecrated ground because Father Bernard is too frightened to perform the proper rites. The bells that once marked peaceful hours now toll constantly for the dead, their bronze voices carrying across fields where crops rot unharvested because there are too few living to bring them in. You help your mother tend the sick, boiling herbs that may or may not help, holding the hands of neighbours as they slip away into whatever lies beyond this world of struggle. The remedies that worked for other illnesses seem powerless against this new enemy. Willow bark for fever has no effect. Comfrey poultices cannot heal the terrible swellings. Even prayers seem to go unanswered as good people die while the wicked sometimes survive. The social order that has governed your life begins to break down. Serfs abandon their lords' fields to flee to other regions, hoping to escape the pestilence. Some lords die, leaving their estates to children too young to rule or to distant relatives who have no understanding of local conditions. In some villages, the survivors band together and refuse to pay their traditional dues, claiming that the old contracts died with the old world. For the first time in your life, you hear whispers of rebellion, of peasants who have taken up arms against their masters. Yet, even in the darkest times, there are moments of unexpected beauty. The way morning light filters through the smoke hole in your roof, painting golden squares on the earthen floor. The taste of fresh bread still warm from the oven, more precious now because grain is scarce and bakers are few. The sound of children's laughter echoing across the village green on feast days. Fewer voices now, but somehow more precious for their rarity. Your life unfolds in the rhythm of seasons, each year bringing the same cycle of planting and harvest, birth and death, hope and endurance. You are part of something larger than yourself, a community bound together by shared hardship and small joy, by the knowledge that survival depends on cooperation and mutual aid. Your story is written not in books, but in the furrows of the fields, in the stones of the church where you pray, in the faces of the children who will carry your world forward into an uncertain future. The marriage negotiations finally conclude when you are 18 and you find yourself betrothed to Martin, the son of a farmer whose land borders your father's. He is not the handsomest of the village boys, nor the richest, but he has a reputation for honesty and hard work. His hands are gentle when he helps you down from the cart after church, and his eyes hold kindness even when his words are few. Perhaps love will grow between you, or perhaps you will simply learn to work together toward the common goal of survival. Either way, you understand that your life is about to change in fundamental ways. The wedding preparations consume the entire village for weeks. Your mother works late into the night, sewing your wedding dress from the finest cloth the family can afford. It is not white, that luxury is reserved for the nobility, but a deep blue dyed with precious woad, with embroidery around the neckline, worked in threads carefully saved from better times. The dress will serve you for years after the wedding, worn to church on feast days and carefully preserved for your own daughter's marriage someday. The ceremony itself takes place at the church door as tradition demands. Father Bernard speaks the Latin words that bind you to Martin before God and the community, while the villagers crowd around to witness this joining of two families. Your hands shake as Martin places the simple iron ring on your finger, a band forged by the village blacksmith from metal that has been blessed and will symbolize the unbreakable nature of your vows. The ring is heavy on your finger, heavier with meaning than with actual weight. The feast that follows is modest by noble standards, but represents a significant sacrifice for both families. There is meat, a pig slaughtered specially for the occasion, and all brewed from the best barley. The entire village contributes something to the celebration, understanding that a wedding is not just the joining of two people, but the creation of a new household that will strengthen the community. You sit beside your new husband at the high table, acutely aware of the eyes upon you, of the expectations that now rest on your shoulders. Your new home is a cottage much like the one where you grew up, but it feels strange and foreign at first. The hearthstones are arranged differently. The sleeping alcove faces east instead of west. The garden plot has different soil that will require learning to understand. Martine's mother has left behind her cooking pots and spinning wheel, tools worn smooth by years of use that now pass to your hands. You run your fingers over the familiar shapes, feeling the connection to the woman who used them before you, wondering if someday another young bride will inherit them from you. The first months of marriage are a time of adjustment and discovery. You learn Martin's rhythms, how he likes his porridge prepared, the way he hums while he works, his habit of checking the door latch twice before bed. He learns yours, your skill with herbal remedies, your ability to judge the quality of wool by touch, the songs you sing while you work. Slowly, carefully, you build a life together, each small shared experience adding another thread to the fabric of your partnership. Your first pregnancy comes in the second year of marriage, announced by the familiar signs that every woman learns to recognize. The morning sickness that keeps you from eating, the tenderness in your breasts, the way certain smells suddenly become unbearable. Martine's face lights up when you tell him, and for a moment, you see the boy he must have been, full of wonder and hope. But you both know the dangers that lie ahead. Too many women die in childbirth. Too many babies are born only to die within days or weeks. The months of waiting are filled with preparation and prayer. Your mother comes to stay with you as your time approaches, bringing her knowledge and experience to guide you through the mysteries of birth. She teaches you the exercises that will strengthen your body for labor, the herbs that will ease pain and promote healing, the prayers that will protect both mother and child from the dangers that lurk in the birthing chamber. When your labor begins, it is both exactly what you expected and completely different from anything you could have imagined. The pain comes in waves, building and receding like the tide, each contraction bringing you closer to the moment when your child will enter the world. Your mother's hands are steady and sure as she guides you through the process, her voice calm and encouraging even when your own courage falters. The other women of the village take turns sitting with you, sharing their own stories of birth and motherhood, creating a circle of feminine wisdom that has supported women through this experience since time began. Your daughter is born just as the sun rises on a spring morning, her first cry mingling with the sound of church bells calling the village to prayer. She is perfect, 10 tiny fingers, 10 tiny toes, a face that already shows hints of both your features and Martin's. You hold her against your chest, feeling the miracle of her breathing, the warmth of her small body, the way she instinctively turns toward you seeking nourishment and comfort. In this moment, all the hardships of your life fade away, replaced by a love so fierce and protective that it takes your breath away. The christening takes place a week later, with Father Bernard performing the ancient ritual that will welcome your daughter into the Christian community. You have chosen the name Marie after the Blessed Virgin, hoping that the Mother of God will watch over your child and protect her from the dangers that threaten all children in your world. The holy water is cold on her forehead, and she cries out in protest, but you feel a sense of relief knowing that her soul is now safe, that even if something happens to her body, her spirit will find its way to heaven. Motherhood transforms you in ways you never expected. Your body, which has always been a tool for work, becomes a source of nourishment for another human being. Your time, once your own to manage, now revolves around the needs of a tiny person who depends on you for everything. Your heart, which you thought was already full of love for Martin and your family, expands to accommodate a new kind of love that is both tender and fierce, protective and nurturing. You learn to work with Marie strapped to your back, her small body warm against yours as you tend the garden, spin wool, prepare meals. She learns the rhythms of your life from the very beginning, the sound of the loom, the smell of baking bread, the feel of wool being carded. When she is old enough to sit up, you place her in a basket while you work, giving her scraps of cloth to play with, teaching her to recognize the different textures and colors that will be part of her world. The seasons continue their eternal cycle, but now they have new meaning. Spring is not just about planting crops, but about watching Marie discover the world around her. The way she reaches for dandelions, her delight in the sound of birds singing, her fascination with the play of light and shadow. Summer means long days when you can work outside with her, letting her crawl on a blanket in the shade while you tend the vegetables, teaching her the names of plants and animals. Autumn brings the harvest, but also the knowledge that another winter is coming, and you must prepare not just for your own survival, but for Marie's as well. You spin extra wool, preserve more food, gather additional herbs for the medicines that will keep your family healthy through the cold months. Every decision is now filtered through the lens of motherhood. What is best for Marie? What will keep her safe? How to ensure that she has the best possible chance of surviving to adulthood? Winter nights are different now, filled with the soft sounds of a sleeping child and the constant awareness that her needs come before your own comfort. You wake multiple times each night to feed her, to check that she is warm enough, to soothe her when bad dreams or growing pains disturb her sleep. Your own sleep becomes fragmented, but you find a different kind of rest in these quiet moments, holding your daughter close and feeling the steady rhythm of her breathing. As Marie grows from baby to toddler, you begin to see the world through her eyes. Everything is new and wonderful. The way water sparkles in the sunlight, the softness of a kitten's fur, the taste of honey on fresh bread. Her laughter becomes the soundtrack of your days, her curiosity a reminder that even in a world full of hardship, there is still beauty and wonder to be found. You find yourself rediscovering the magic in simple things, the way shadows dance on the wall, the sound of rain on the roof, the warmth of the fire on a cold day. Your relationship with Martin deepens as you share the joys and challenges of parenthood. You see new sides of him, his gentleness when he holds Marie, his pride when she takes her first steps, his concern when she falls ill with childhood fevers. He becomes not just your husband, but your partner in the great adventure of raising a child, and you find that love can indeed grow from practical beginnings into something deeper and more meaningful. The village children become Marie's first friends and playmates. You watch her learn to share, to take turns, to navigate the complex social dynamics that exist even among the very young. She learns the games that have been passed down through generations, singing rounds, simple dances, contests of skill, and speed. These games teach important lessons about cooperation, competition, and the rules that govern community life. As Marie approaches her 5th birthday, you begin to teach her the skills she will need as a woman in your world. Her small fingers learn to hold a spindle, to card wool, to help with simple cooking tasks. She follows you to the garden, learning to distinguish between weeds and vegetables, understanding the cycle of planting and harvesting that sustains life. You tell her the same stories your mother told you, passing down the accumulated wisdom of generations of women who have faced similar challenges. The years pass, marked by small milestones and quiet achievements. Marie's first successful attempt at spinning thread, her first loaf of bread that doesn't burn, her first time helping deliver a neighbor's baby. You watch her grow from a curious child into a capable young woman, proud of her accomplishments, but also aware of the challenges that lie ahead for her. The world is changing. There are rumors of new ideas, new ways of thinking about the relationship between lords and peasants, new possibilities for those brave enough to seek them. Your own body bears the marks of your life, hands permanently stained from dyeing wool, a back that aches from years of bending over the loom, scars from countless small injuries that are part of a working woman's existence. But these marks are badges of honor, proof that you have lived fully, that you have contributed to your family's survival and your community's strength. You have learned to find satisfaction in work well done, in challenges overcome, in the knowledge that you have passed on important skills to the next generation. The church remains the center of your spiritual life, but your faith has evolved from the simple acceptance of childhood to something more complex and personal. You have seen too much suffering to believe that God's will is always easy to understand, but you have also witnessed too many small miracles to doubt that there is something greater than yourself at work in the world. Your prayers have become more specific, more urgent, not just for salvation in the next life, but for strength to face the challenges of this one. The feast days of the church calendar continue to mark the rhythm of your year, but they have taken on new meaning as you experience them through Marie's eyes. Christmas becomes not just a celebration of Christ's birth, but a time to create magic for your daughter, to tell her stories of the Christ child and help her understand her place in the great story of salvation. Easter is not just about resurrection, but about renewal, about the promise that even after the darkest winter, spring will come again. Your relationship with the other women of the village has deepened over the years. You have shared the intimate experiences of childbirth, illness, and loss that create bonds stronger than blood. These women are your support system, your source of practical advice, your companions in the daily struggle of survival. Together, you form an informal network of knowledge and assistance that operates parallel to the official structures of church and manor. As you approach your 30th year, you realize that you have become one of the older women in the village, one of those to whom younger women turn for advice and guidance. This responsibility weighs on you, but it also gives you a sense of purpose and importance that goes beyond your individual survival. You are now a keeper of traditions, a repository of knowledge, a link between the past and the future. The skills you have learned over the years have made you valuable to your community in ways that go beyond your role as wife and mother. Your knowledge of herbs makes you a healer. Your skill at dyeing makes you an artist. Your experience with childbirth makes you a midwife. These roles give you a kind of power and independence that is rare for women in your world, and you use it carefully, understanding that with privilege comes responsibility. Your cottage has become a gathering place for the women of the village, a place where they come to share news, seek advice, and find comfort in times of trouble. You take pride in your ability to offer hospitality, even when resources are scarce, understanding that the bonds of community are strengthened by such gestures. Your hearth fire burns not just for your own family, but as a beacon of warmth and welcome for all who need it. The political changes happening in the wider world begin to affect even your small village. There are new laws about the movement of serfs, new taxes to support distant wars, new ideas about the rights and responsibilities of different classes of people. You don't fully understand all these changes, but you sense that the world Marie will inherit will be different from the one you have known. This both excites and frightens as you wonder what opportunities and challenges await the next generation. As sleep takes you each night, you dream sometimes of a different life, one where your hands are soft, where your back doesn't ache from labor, where your choices are your own. But when you wake, you find strength in the knowledge that you are part of an unbroken chain of survival, stretching back through generations and forward into tomorrow. Your life may be small in the eyes of history, but it is yours, and it is enough. You have learned that happiness is not a constant state, but something that must be cultivated and cherished when it appears. It comes in small moments, the taste of fresh strawberries in summer, the warmth of Martin's hand in yours, the sound of Marie's laughter, the satisfaction of a task completed well. These moments are precious precisely because they are fleeting, bright spots of joy in a life that is often difficult but never without meaning. Your story continues, woven into the larger tapestry of human experience, a single thread that is both insignificant and essential. You are part of the great human story of survival, adaptation, and a story that has been told countless times, but is always new when experienced through individual eyes. Your life matters, not because it is extraordinary, but because it is authentically lived, fully experienced, and generously shared with those around you. The seasons will continue to turn, bringing their familiar cycle of challenge and renewal. Marie will grow up, marry, and have children of her own, carrying forward the knowledge and traditions you have taught her. The village will change, some families will prosper while others struggle. New challenges will arise and be met with the same combination of courage and endurance that has sustained your people for generations. And through it all, the fundamental truths of human existence will remain constant. The need for love, the importance of community, the value of work well done, the power of hope to sustain us through even the darkest times. These are the lessons of your life, the wisdom you have gained through years of living fully and authentically in a world that offers no guarantees except the certainty of change. As you drift towards sleep, you feel a deep sense of gratitude for the life you have been given. It has not been easy, but it has been real. And in the end, that is perhaps the most any of us can ask for. You have loved and been loved. You have contributed to something larger than yourself. You have faced challenges with courage and found joy in unexpected places. Your story is complete, yet still continuing, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit to find meaning and beauty even in the most difficult circumstances.